Have you ever felt so lonely, even when you weren't really alone? Sometimes the hardest moments aren't loud, they're quiet. In Bluey's episode Bingo, the little sister is left by herself for an afternoon. That's all. No disaster, no heartbreak. And yet, in that silence, she faces something every one of us eventually must. On the surface, Bingo is about boredom, but underneath, it's about loneliness and the first steps toward emotional self-reliance. In many ways, Bingo is a coming-of-age story, just for a smaller age. Because here's the hidden truth adults will recognize. Bingo isn't just learning how to play alone, she's learning how to be alone. And that's something many of us still struggle with. As adults, we often fill our empty spaces with noise. Phones, emails, errands, endless scrolling. Silence can feel like failure. Stillness can feel unbearable. But Bingo, she starts by sitting in it. She tries, stumbles, and circles back. She asks for help. She bargains with a beeping fridge like it's a stubborn roommate. And slowly, not all at once, but piece by piece, she starts to find her way. And the key moment? When her mom gently says, "Maybe you don't need a game. Maybe you need a problem." That's the turning point. It's not the arrival of a new toy or someone swooping in to save her. It's the invitation to become curious, resourceful, to see herself as capable. That's when everything shifts. What's truly beautiful is that Bingo doesn't offer her a solution in the way many shows might. No imaginary friend appears, no magical twist. The problem isn't solved for her, it's reframed by her. And in that lies one of the most mature emotional shifts a child can make. Learning to become the source of their own momentum. Instead of asking, "Who will play with me?" Bingo learns to ask, "What can I do with what I have?" That mental pivot, from external dependence to internal agency, is a foundational milestone in emotional development. It's the birthplace of both creativity and self-trust. And most adults know it doesn't stop with childhood. That's a question we keep asking at every stage of life. I remember being that kid, frozen in the middle of the room, surrounded by toys, but feeling totally lost without someone beside me. Honestly, sometimes I still feel that way. Scrolling, waiting, hoping for something outside of me to start the spark. What Bingo teaches, so gently and brilliantly, is that emotional resilience doesn't come from being constantly entertained, supported, or rescued. It comes from believing you can face something hard and figure it out. And this is where the episode truly becomes about us, the grown-ups watching. Because how often do we short-circuit our own discomfort, or our children's, in an effort to avoid stillness? When Bingo says, "But who am I going to play with?" it would have been easy for Chili to drop everything and soothe her loneliness with attention. But instead, Chili makes a different choice. One that may feel unfamiliar in a world of instant gratification. She lets her daughter feel it. Not cruelly, not neglectfully, but lovingly, with trust. Trust that Bingo will find her own way. And that's the message most adults need to hear. You don't always have to fix the problem. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is believe they can. Because loneliness isn't a flaw, it's a teacher. And for Bingo, that teacher arrives through blueberries, beeping fridges, puzzle pieces, and ants carrying food that's too big for them. Each small moment of struggle becomes a small act of growth. Even her relationship with the fridge, the thing that doesn't like her, becomes a lesson in empathy and reconciliation. By the end, they're friends. All it took was understanding. That's no accident. It's a mirror of something deeper. When we feel lonely, it's easy to believe the world is against us. But often, we just need to look again, or try a different approach, and suddenly, connection becomes possible. So why does this matter? Because in a world where children are rarely left without stimulation, where adults too often fear silence, Bingo models something revolutionary. That solitude isn't the enemy, it's a skill, and more than that, it's a gift. When Bingo finds the missing puzzle piece on her own bottom, the piece she thought was lost, she laughs. And so do we, because we've all had that moment, haven't we? Searching everywhere for something, only to realize it was with us the whole time. That's not just a gag, it's a metaphor. The thing we're looking for, comfort, creativity, connection, is already inside us. We just have to believe we're enough, and that's what Bingo learns. Not through being praised or placated, but by doing. She solves a problem, she follows a question, she builds a map of the world with her own two hands. And when she can't find New Zealand, she puts up missing posters. She doesn't give up, she gets inventive. And isn't that the spirit we want to foster? Not just in kids, but in ourselves? There's another layer here, too, about the power of micro-triumphs. The episode doesn't end with Bingo inventing a new game or learning to play piano. Her achievement is simply staying with herself long enough to feel okay again. That's it. And that's everything. Because emotional independence doesn't always look like confidence. Sometimes it looks like trying, wobbling, and choosing not to quit. This matters in a world where resilience is often confused with pushing through, staying strong, or pretending not to feel. What Bingo shows us is that resilience can look like softness, like talking to a fridge, like drawing a missing poster for a puzzle piece you could easily give up on. It's gentle persistence, and that's the kind that lasts. And the episode knows this. There's a subtle brilliance in how the episode frames Bingo's growth. Notice how the background quietly shifts. The house, the balcony, the toilet. These ordinary spaces become landscapes of exploration. There's no magical realism here, no dream sequences, just a little girl and her imagination. And this, too, is intentional. Because the world doesn't need to change in order for us to. Sometimes, the biggest adventures happen in the smallest moments. When Bingo sees an ant struggling to carry a blueberry, she doesn't laugh or mock or interfere. She encourages it. She gives it a thumbs up. Why? Because she sees herself in it. And in that moment, the episode becomes a parable about perseverance and self-compassion. Bingo learns that being alone doesn't mean being abandoned. That feeling sad doesn't mean she's doing something wrong. That the fridge might still beep, but that doesn't mean it doesn't like her. It just means sometimes you have to learn the language of the world and your own place in it. And when you do, something shifts. When Bluey finally returns, Bingo lights up, and yes, she's missed her. But she's also okay now. She found her own way through. She learned how to be by herself. Not perfectly, not without hiccups, but with courage. And when she says, "The posters worked," as she places the final puzzle piece, it's not really about New Zealand. It's about her. She's complete again. Not because her sister is back, but because she discovered she was never really missing anything in the first place. And if that's not the most quietly powerful message a show can offer, what is? So maybe the next time you feel that pang of loneliness, or watch a child wrestle with boredom, you'll remember Bingo. And maybe you'll do what Chili did, not rush in to fix, but step back and trust. Because sometimes the greatest gift we can give to others and to ourselves is space. Space to sit in the quiet, to find the problem, to meet ourselves. That's when something remarkable happens. Not a dramatic transformation, but a gentle arrival. Like when Bingo says, "No thanks, I'm okay." Not because she no longer needs others, but because she's discovered something steadier inside herself. She's not alone because no one is there. She's alone and at peace. And maybe that's the real milestone, not just for Bingo, but for all of us, to enjoy our own company, to trust that we're enough, and to know Even in solitude, we are deeply, beautifully whole. If this story moved you, like it moved me, please give the video a like and subscribe for more reflections from the world of Bluey. Because sometimes, the smallest episodes hold the biggest lessons, and we'd love to explore them with you. Can't wait to see you next time.